Welcome back to Unleash Your Healthy Self. I'm Brent Livesay. I have a PhD in cell biology, and this is Dr. Cameron Bishop, and he is a licensed acupuncturist. Now, today we're talking about hot flashes, and this topic is right up Dr. Bishop's alley, as when he got his doctorate, he did one of his focuses on pain management and the other on women's health. So let's get into it.
So what is a hot flash? It's a sensation of heat in your body with or without sweating. It can be just your upper body, your head and your neck, or it could be your whole body completely. Research tells us that it seems to be connected to estrogen levels and also to the part of your brain that regulates temperatures. Normally in menopause, 5 to 10 hot flashes are normal. Now, that being said, about 50% of women in menopause have some symptoms. 25% have severe symptoms, and 25% have no symptoms at all. So what's the best predictor? What your mom did, what your sisters did, what your aunts did. So these are the best predictors of how your menopause will be. Also, another predictor other than family history is how your cycles were. Seems to be that the worse your cycles were while you're having cycles, the worse your menopause is. A good acupuncturist can also check your pulse, your tongue, and something called oketsu, which is some belly points. And with reducing those, they can also help reduce your symptoms and so forth. But let's talk about some other things. Hot flashes are worse with alcohol, caffeine, nicotine, cannabis. Particularly alcohol, red wine seems to make it worse because it's a vasodilator, lets the blood out. Caffeine and nicotine are vasoconstrictors, so they restrict it. There's some foods that make it worse: spicy, highly processed foods and carbs, sugar, and of course you want to avoid hot rooms, stuffy rooms, and things like that. Tight clothes, polyester, synthetic clothing makes it worse. Being fatigued, not getting your proper sleep. And you want to be in a healthy weight. Your BDI is good. And of course, anxiety and stress makes everything worse. So that will make your menopausal symptoms worse too. Some breathing exercises can make it better and some can make it worse. Anything that is using your upper breathing, like breath of fire and yoga, can make it worse. But if you're using more lower diaphragm breathing, it can make it better.
All right, now the thing we've all been waiting for, the list of things that will make the symptoms better. Now, it's true that it varies by person what works, but this list has a lot of good ideas, and we're going to start with clothing. What about what we wear can help us with the symptoms?
Well, especially in Florida, we want cotton clothes. We don't want synthetic polyesters. Another idea is to dress in layers so you can take them off if your temperature goes up. And another easy one is a portable fan.
Right, you can carry that with you in your purse, in your car, and keep it ready for you when the lightning strikes. Um, Another thing is that exercise has been found to be helpful. What's the research on that?
The research says any exercise helps. You can just walk and things like that. But what particularly helps is rigorous, frequent exercise. And that actually reduces menopausal symptoms or hot flashes.
Okay. And then I know you wanted to talk about meditation.
Yes, mind medicine, biofeedback, meditation, deep breathing, belly breathing, all these things put you in the relaxation response or the parasympathetic state. And that also reduces your hot flashes.
We've also looked into the research on diet, and it's been found that if you eat a lot of vegetables, if you reduce your intake of foods that are processed, that can be helpful. And then as far as supplementation, certain vitamins such as vitamin B6 and B12, and then D and E have been found to be helpful, as well as if you can supplement with minerals. Magnesium has been found to be helpful.
Right, the big ones are vitamins B6, B12, vitamin D and E, And there's studies also on supplementation of magnesium to help reduce hot flashes. So another thing that helps with hot flashes is to stay hydrated, so to drink water all day long.
And then cooling foods. It's kind of common sense that some foods can kind of chill you out and some kind of rile you up inside. But this is actually a concept from Eastern medicine. So, what are cooling foods in that tradition?
They classify, there's food therapy, and they classify foods as warm, hot, cool, cold, neutral, such, and so forth. So, for example, we have a little bit of in our culture. So, in the spring or fall or winter, when it gets cold, we have hot apple cider, and we put cinnamon in it or something like that. Those type of foods warm us up on the inside. In summer, we'll eat things like cucumber, salads, watermelon. These cool us off. So in Asian medicine, they categorize all the foods that way. So the idea is to avoid warming foods if you're having hot flashes. You want more fruits than vegetables. And if you drink fruit juice, get fruit juice that doesn't have added sugar, because sugar will warm you up. Alcohol will warm you up. Cinnamon, turmeric, these type of spices will warm you up more. So you want to stay on the cool side of all these foods. Other cooling foods can be buttermilk, coconut milk, soy milk, these type of things.
And then, of course, there's herbs and acupuncture, things that you worked with in the clinic for many years.
Yes, I've worked with a lot of menopausal women and helped them with their symptoms for sure. So I lived in Japan a long time, and one of the things is they think of menopause as the second spring. So the first spring is your first cycle, and menopause is the second spring. And it's a time that you give up fertility of having children for the fertility of wisdom. So that you move into your matriarchal stage. So the cultural concept's very different in the East and West that way. In Asian medicine, we have yin and yang. You might have heard of that. So as we age, men, their yang gets less, and women, their yin gets less. So yin deficient symptoms in Asian medicine, Chinese medicine, are things like hot flashes, night sweats, and I'd like to call them power surges, but also other symptoms like that. So it could be low back pain, it could be dizziness, it could be tinnitus, it could be vague things like that. So the idea is to supplement the yin. So this loosely refers to kind of our estrogen and progesterone balancing. So acupuncture is effective, herbs are effective, and herbal or food therapy are effective, and all of them together are very effective. So, for example, with herbal formulas, there's patent formulas, which are just general formulas. If you have this, take it. And it's not always good to approach Chinese medicine with the Western idea of reducing a symptom only. I have a headache, so I take an aspirin. It's not always the best remedy. So there are base formulas in Chinese medicine for menopause, and then there's specific formulas if you have more of one symptom, which might be insomnia or anxiety or hot flashes or night sweats or palpitations or pain or things like that. So they can tailor that formula to it. So you want to go to a really good herbalist who's experienced in that. So one of the other things about the second spring or hot flashes and night sweats is we call it a false heat. That means it's not a real heat. So real heat is you're so hot, you're barefoot in the snow, drinking iced tea, and you feel great. False heat is you're in bed, you're hot, you throw it off, and then you're cold. Then you put the cover back on, then you're hot. Or you stick your hands and feet out to cool off, and that's called five souls heat. So those are kind of one of those Chinese symptoms. So it's important to get a tailored formula for you. Now, what can acupuncture do? Acupuncture has specific points that reduce this false heat and balance the hormones. Uh, they're all over the body. One most famous is right here. I love to use. There's quite a bit on the feet too. How can this, most effectively help you? So let's give a couple scenarios. One is that you're premenopausal. So you're starting to have some symptoms. That's the best time to go. You can start getting a formula that ease you through into the menopause. And if you're already full blown, then just know it's going to take longer and measure it in months, not days. That's very important because to shift hormones, it takes a while. Even if you go to the doctor and get an estrogen formula or thyroid or some other type of hormone or endocrine medication, the doctor is going to measure that in months. Come back in a month and let's see what the blood levels say. So give it a fair chance to shift you in time. And of course, work with it with food therapies. Because if you're eating the cooling foods and resting and meditating, doing everything else, you'll get through the menopause symptoms quicker. So I hope this helps. There's a lot of good tips in here. And thank you for following us, and please subscribe.